Ra, you know who I am, you know who I be, you know who I are. The doctor, the minister, the prince, your prince from on prince. I have this information for y'all. Y'all gonna really love it. I thought I was gonna put this out yesterday, have it out for early today, but I said I'll let his, family, friends, loved ones, people that knew him, people that connected with him, put their stuff out first and get all the views and let it die down. Because this particular information that I'm about to reveal is gonna be so powerful that it's gonna get views regardless. Because once people see this, they're gonna say, "Oh, okay." People are just pretty much talking about the fact that he passed. He transitioned. This is really talking about what happened. Okay, so I'm gonna start off real easy, real simple, real quick, but it's gonna be parts to this. I'm gonna say one thing, then that, and it's gonna lead on. Okay, this man was a sacrifice. First, before I go into a sacrifice, and I explain exactly why and how, and it all makes sense. Before that, I need to go back. This man, every life itself, when you look at life, I'm gonna just say this for everybody. There's certain things that you do that only you can do, or only you are meant to do. Let me say, not only you can do it, but only you are meant to do it, and that's important. Why? Because other people can do the same thing you do, they won't get the same results you get, because it's in the destiny for you to do it. Life communicates with us all the time. Some people you might say God, Allah, Buddha, Brahma, Shiva, different things. Communicate, pardon me, communicates with us all the time. And when they talking in scriptures, you hear them say they heard the voice of God. They wasn't talking about literally a voice in their head. They were really talking about they was able to read the signs that came from the Creator, source. Everything you see, what Malcolm X did was meant for Malcolm X to do. What Martin Luther King did, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Angela Davis, Shada Shakur, Mother Teresa, everybody. No matter who it is, whether it's good or bad, Genghis Khan, Mussolini, whoever. Everybody, what they did, they were meant to do. Why? Because what they stand for is a message. Now, I'm going to explain this, and I'm going to need y'all to level up in your thinking to understand what I'm about to say. When I say the person is a message, I don't just mean, like, for instance, if I feel strongly about something and I go out and talk about it and it becomes a big thing, what I'm saying is there is a metaphysical principle behind it. In case it doesn't make sense all the way and I need to explain it just a little bit better, okay, I'll do it like that. We get used to deliver certain messages. The reason why certain messages resonate with us so much is so that we will want and be passionate about pushing it. The message is just sitting there waiting for somebody to push it. There are certain people on this planet that are designed so that when they come across that message or they have certain experiences in life, it will trigger them to tap into that message and become, I don't want to say the word obsessed, but become very passionate about the message and push that message. This gentleman here is one of those people. The reason why he had to bring that message, not him personally, he's being used as a conduit. He's just a tool, so to speak, for life that has a message. Just like when the women's rights came along, and that was a message. Everybody comes along and impacts history is actually just bringing a message. And the message that they're bringing is that there's a big gender war going on right now. And there's a hatred for many women toward men, secretly, covertly. Some of them are very upfront about it, but some of them don't even know because they have brothers, fathers, sons, and they be like, I don't hate men. I could never hate men. Husbands, boyfriends, fiancés, but they secretly do. They just don't know it. The same thing with men. There's many men that are misogynistic. They hate women. They don't know because they think I love women. I stay having sex with women. That's not the same. You can. It's so funny that people don't even realize that you could be a person married. Let's just say you are a Hawaiian and you're married to a person that's Australian. You could be prejudiced against Australians and be like, but how is that possible if I'm married to that? Doesn't matter. Just because you find favor with one of them doesn't mean that you don't have a thing toward them in general. Now, I'm gonna get to the point even quicker now that we done used up 6 minutes. He was a psyop. Not a psyop, I said a psyop. He was a psyop too, but that's not what I want to get to that part. So I was going piece by piece. Um, he became that, so to speak. And I'm not slandering him. Don't think I'm here to slander anybody. And I'm not trying to not slander him because he's deceased and transitioned. I don't do that. I say the truth and say the truth, and that's it. I just say the truth. But I'm going to show you that he was mathematically chosen to be the one to deliver this message. The sum total of his life prepared him for this. But yes, he was a sacrifice. Yes, somebody sacrificed him, and you will see them. They're gonna come out, and they're gonna be super popular, and they're gonna blow up, and they're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff, and you'll see. I got the numbers right here. We're gonna go into this in case anyone wants to know. Life is about a code. Life is one big gigantic code. You know, when you go to your DNA, the markers have letters and stuff like that. It's all about code. Everything, even when scientists try to prove something, they always make a mathematical code for it. If it can't be made into a code, like a what they call it, an equation, a mathematical equation, they don't take it seriously. But on a whole deeper level, life is all about codes. So what we do is we take letters A, B, C to Z and break them down. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, so forth, all the way to Z is 26. These are the numbers we typically look for. Mainly 1, 3, 8. These are the three separate numbers that are very important. 0 also, but you know, it's nothing that's going to really come out to 0 too much. Then you got the double numbers, which is 1 twice, or 11, triple, quadruple. Same thing here, same thing here. 13, which is this and this together, or side by side. Not added up, just side by side, and reversed. These are very important. 131, even more important. 138, very important. This is most important though. Well, I'm going to say this is most important, but this is very important. I'll tell you, I'm not going to tell you. But anyway, and this version is very important. So let's see. Was he chosen to do this? When you have a arsenal of numbers like this, you'll know you're chosen to do something, or something is right for you to be involved in. K is 11. That's 1, 1. Yep. R, 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. O, 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. 96. I put that there strictly because that's the opposite of 69. 69 is yin and yang. Basically this, or 8. When you see this, that means that something is trying to keep the truth from coming out. Boom, 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So you have 1, 1, and 1. Exactly. You never really heard of his last name, a middle name, so that it's not even really a point. But being that his middle name wasn't really said, and this represents trying to keep things apart. This was kept confidential or secret or out of the public ear, and it was taking things apart. That's very important. The date of birth right here, March. M is the 13th letter. 13, as you can see. 165 altogether. When you add up the whole 165, you get 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So that's 1. 6 and 5 is 11. So that'd be 1, 1, 1, which is this. All right. But if you say this is 10, and you got this right here, which is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. So you have 10 and 2, which is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. So you got it's either 3 or it's 3. It's either 3 like this or 3 like this. He was born in Atlanta. That's A. That's a 1. Georgia starts with a G. G is the 33rd letter. I know you might not know why it's 33. After you get to 26, you start all over. So 27, 28, 29, 30. So 27 would be A. 22 would be, B would be 28. C would be 29, so forth and so on. He died in May, which is M. I don't know why I got 5 there. Oh, it's the 5th month. That's why I got. But that's not what I want to even write. I don't know why. That's the 5th month, so that is important. But it's actually 13. M is 13. You have 5, and you have 2022. The 3 2s add up to 6. So you have 5 and 6. This is actually the reverse of this. Where's it at? 6, 5. 5, 6. Remember we did the reverse up here? That's how they sacrificed him with a reverse. They reversed it. They took his life and reversed it. And that's how they was able to do the ritual on him. That's not how they was able to, but that's what they use. Then you have right here, 56. Boom. He died at 56. This comes out to 56. Right here. 5, 6. 56. He died. Boom. That comes out to 11. But this is how they was able to get rid of him on 56, because they knew the science behind it. That's why they had to do it on that date. And yesterday was also Cinco, which is 3, De, which is 4, which is another 13, because 1 plus 3 is 4, and Mayo, which is 13. Oh, that's terrible. Look at 13. That's terrible too. Don't worry about that. They killed him on that day. If you do the history on what that day really represents, it's a day of war. It's the day where the French were fighting the Mexicans, and the Mexicans were heavily outnumbered. And they still won, though. But anyway, go to this. He was a Pisces, the fish. That's P is 16, adds up to 7. It's the 12th sign, though. On the regular zodiac chart, it's the 12th sign or the last sign. 1 plus 2 is 3. So that has, these are the 12 signs. You don't have to add them or anything. That 7, I'm going to go back. I'll get to that. He went to Millwood High School. Millwood is 13. M is 13. H is the 8th letter. S is 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So we see here 13, bam, 8, bam, and 1, bam. Ooh, very, very interesting. So he was a Christian. C is 3. He went to the University of Oklahoma. U is 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. O is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. Oklahoma. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6, 6. Right here, 3. But then, let me tell you about this. You can add these two. 6 itself breaks in half to be 33. Why? Because if you divide 6 evenly, it comes out 3 and 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3, right? So it's 3 and 3. That's how it's 3 plus 3 is 6. And it's the same thing over here. So really, what you're looking at when you deal with University of Oklahoma, you're looking at 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Looking at 5 threes in a row, whether you know it or not. This is hit numerology. This is how they do it. He was 6'2". 6 plus 2 is 8. Look at all these 8s. He was 143 pounds. That add up to 8. Not coincidental at all. At the same time, 143, I taught y'all D and 4 can also represent 13. Right? Okay. Then down here, she started his channel, and his YouTube channel, according to the sources on Wikipedia, on May, which is 20th, 2015. 5 plus 1 plus 2 is 8. Coincident or not? This 20 adds up to 2. You can put these two together and get 10, which will come out to 1. But that 8 is important as well. Okay, so they sacrificed him, people. Some people did a ritual on him, and they sacrificed him, and they got rid of him because he was. It's not. Don't get caught up in a little. A lot of people listen to his stuff and really get mesmerized by that. When you look at Martin Luther King, you said, "Oh, he wanted justice, equal rights for black people to be able to drink from the same fountains and go to the same schools." That's the details. Never look at the details. I know they say the devil's in the details. Yeah, well, that's cool. But what you really want to do is look at the big picture. The big picture is that Martin Luther King wanted a change in social standing, not just for black, but in general. Black people integrating was going to change the history of United States, and it did. You see the NBA, rap, different things, all kinds of different things, clothing, gangs, all kinds of things that changed the very dynamic of America and what it will be and what it will become. Kevin Samuels, by speaking about what he was speaking about, not the details and his personal view on things, but as a whole, it's gonna change. It's gonna change the dynamic of the world. What he was saying, without saying it, that he didn't even know he was saying, is that there's a massive gender war going on, and they're trying to depopulate the earth, and they're using people of a certain status, because no rich people ever called into his show from what I saw. I've never heard one rich person call in and say, I agree or disagree, whatever. Never. Everybody that called in was what they call so-called lower class or so-called middle class. And they all said, we want upper class lifestyle. And he will always say, it's pretty much not going to work for you because of blah, 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 blah. What, if you really could read between lines, what was being said is that people want to integrate. The first book I have, the White Book. Then the second book, Purple Anarchy. Both books are speaking about how people perceive time is speeding up. These books were written like 10 years ago. And it's something like these books are people perceiving time as speeding up. It's not that time is speeding up necessarily. What it is that everything is merging. All realities are merging. This is why you see parents being best friends with their children. There used to be a fine line between parents and children. No more. You see students and teachers being friends or being very cordial in a way that seems too buddy-buddy. It used to be a fine line. No more. You see before, when you used to go to church, you used to have to wear a suit or a dress, certain shoes. You had to be really dressed very, I don't even know what they call that kind of attire, but I could think of it offhand, but I'm too busy watching the clock. Um, but anywho, used to have to dress up really formal. That's what they call it. And now, you can go sneakers, jeans, whatever. Your gang rag dripping out your pocket, whatever. Because churches merge now. They take everything. Before, everything was designed a certain way to keep certain people away. It's like, we're this, you're that. We want to define. Now, no more. Why do you think transgenderism is getting more popular? It's not just happening because people are really transgender. It's happening because it has to happen. Everything I'm talking about is on a cosmic level. If you want to say God is doing it, then that's fine. Whatever, makes it make sense. Because our sexuality is emerging within us. So you're a man and you want to be a woman. And sometimes people be like, well, I'm a woman and a man, but I'm a woman and a man. I'm a woman who's a man who likes other men. So then you'd be like, well, then that's just like being a woman and liking a man. But it becomes, then they'd be like, but on top of that, I'm also a little, if you don't know what a little is, don't worry about it. I'm also a little, that's a pet. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. And I like to, do this. It's so many different identities merging into one people. And it's not that people are going crazy. It's the program that we're in. This simulation life, as we call it, is merging. Every aspect of it is merging into one big thing. And because of that, we're seeing things come together that usually wouldn't have been allowed to go together. Okay, so you see this? This is where the 8's coming at. See what the 8 is doing? It loops and goes back to that, loops. And I mean, I did it a little, whatever. It looks a little, whatever. You look at the 8 right here. It looks a little neater right there. It's similar. It's the same thing, looping and coming back, looping, but it's connected. See, before, a 0 is this. This is like 2 zeros separated. This is like a 0 and this is 0. What an 8 is when 2 zeros are connected into one thing. It merged. That's why that 8 is so important. It represents the merging, which in the end, in order for us to find paradise on earth, there has to be that merging. There's too much separation. Too much separation. The whole Roshan. Too much separation there. Can't have that much separation. That's something that's very important. When you have this type of separation, it doesn't allow society to merge. That's why we have something coming called a metaverse. They want to merge human psychology or human brain functionality with technology. So people and computers are going to be merged. Everything has to merge in order for society to go forward as far as what they want to do. And he came out and delivered a message. And the message that he kind of delivered is not the message that he intended, the higher message. Because at one point he ended up getting lost in his own message. He started interjecting his personal things and stuff like that. And they kind of like took people off. That does happen. It happened with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. It happened with a lot of people. But the pure message is this. Basically, women, find your level of man. Not the man that you want. The man that's realistically, water seeks his own level, basically. Find a man that's really, really, realistically equatable to you. Doesn't matter if you make $100,000 a year and he makes $5,000 a year. That's not what you find. The man that can balance you properly. He started telling, what he was saying is, women, y'all want these men that's up here. Those men don't match you properly. Not because they have so many more resources than you, but because when they get there, their minds are different. Y'all come from two different worlds now. And people always say, oh, we can learn how to, I'm trying to beat around the bush because I don't want to be too raw. But basically, to get to that level, you got to kind of do some things that people down here ain't willing to do. And I don't mean work hard. I mean things. You got to get involved with some things that people from the hood or people from the suburbs, middle class, and trailer parks, we don't really get involved with those things. Those things, you're not willing to sacrifice your children and do things, certain things you got to do. So he basically the message is find your level, merge with your level, and continue to repopulate with your level. Not because you're less than the people up there, but because that's not for you. That's a secret club. You don't want to be in that club because you don't know what you got to do to be in that club. And I promise you, when you find out, you're going to not want to do it. It happens realistically. But because the way society is putting pressure on women, women are looking for somebody to help them with their finances more than anything, because that's the only reason why they're going up there to look for men, because they're like, yo, and you know the men up there cheat even more than the men down here because they have indefinite options, but they're looking for somebody to help them with it because it's hard to survive out here on your one income the way you want to. And women also want to have a partner that's equal. Like, she don't want to be making $80,000 a year and able to travel the world, and her partner only got $15,000 a year. He's struggling. He can't afford to travel. She got to pay for everything. She really don't want to do that. So she's like, I need somebody that's making some money too and can do that with me, and we can have fun and do that, live that life like that. That's great. But everybody wants a free ride. So then it becomes a thing of, okay, I'll not work and you can pay for both of us and we can still jet set around the world and stuff like that. That means that if she's making 80, he probably had to make 160 so that she can not work and her 80 is still covered, and then is another 80 involved for him, and then y'all can still live. But that's the stuff that's the problem. And what the message was is like, we got to all find our level and merge with it right now and become that. Because the thing is, you can't merge. It's too much. There's too many extra puzzle pieces that need to be fixed before we try to attach to the main part. We, on a certain level, need to merge and lock our thing down, and then we can click to the mainframe of the puzzle. The next thing we need to know is that there's a covert agenda to depopulate the earth. There's a covert agenda by what people like to call the powers that be. We say the EOs. Okay, so these EOs that are trying to depopulate the earth, what they plan to do is use the women against the men. They're going to use the women to hold out on sex and reproduction and so forth and so on and so forth, and stress men out to the point where men are being pushed. At one point, women were stressing, and I'm not blaming women. This is not about blaming women. I'm just showing you how it works, because they did the same thing. When they had us in the, black people in the hoods selling crack and making meth, and not black people in the hood, but whoever in the suburbs making meth and trailer parks and stuff. These are little psyops that they put out there to make us feed into it, to destroy our own communities and destroy ourselves. Because either you get hooked on the drugs, or you get killed, somebody wants your money and your property, or you go to prison for a very long time. So either way, they got you out the way for a minute. And when they put you in prison, you damage the family. You die, you damage your family. People trying to kill your family. You got to be on the run. It makes things dysfunctional for you and your family. That's the goal. The goal is to make sure that we at the bottom don't function correctly. If we function correctly, the system will fall, and we will have freedom, and we will have heaven on earth. They want to, the powers that be, the EOs, they want to create a heaven on earth, but their version of it, where they're still in power and still in control, and we don't know, or we are okay with, like when they said, when they did the whole thing with the C-19, and they was like, mandatory this, mandatory that, stay at home. People gladly did it because they were scared of a virus. And I'm saying that now. It's the same. They want to create a mentality where we are willing to be captive and prisoners and imprison ourselves for the greater good. Like in China, when they was like, well, there's too many people on the planet and too many people in the country, you only had this many babies. People's like, oh, I want to help, I want to be a good citizen. Okay, I'll have one child. They want to create a dynamic where you willingly go by what they want you to go by and adhere to what they want you to adhere to. So he came with a message, and his message was contrary to what the EOS want. The EOS don't want us regular people, not rich, not filthy rich, not filthy, not very powerful, running the world people. They don't want us to get together with each other and work together in harmony and reproduce and see what's going on, because we are more and more people eyes are opening to what's going on in the world, and they starting to see like, oh, we being oppressed, we're being manipulated, we're being this and we're being that. So they're like, we got to get rid of these people, because the more of them that there are and the more they open their eyes, the more they're not going to keep tolerating this forever. You see what happened with George Floyd, right? With the riots and stuff, right? You see what happened when they stormed the Capitol, right? The masses are getting tired, and they're starting to see stuff, and they're starting to like really react to stuff. So they want to try to dumb it down before it gets to that point. And his message, Kevin Samuels, when he came, was that we people need to get with our own on our level, not own race, but own level of being, and we need to start merging and mating and stay there